This story a couple of days ago, the judge in Montana that sided with young climate change activists in a first-of-its-kind ruling in our country. The ruling was that state agencies had violated their constitutional right, the youngsters' constitutional right to a clean environment. So let's talk about the implications. We got our legal analyst Whitney Traylor here with us. It seems like many people were surprised this got to trial, much less that the ruling fell this way.
Lots of people were surprised, including the attorney generals who were defending the case. And I was surprised as well, because this organization that was representing the plaintiffs has filed a lawsuit in every state since 2011, essentially making the same arguments. Many of them got dismissed. This was the first one to actually make it to trial. And throughout, the defendants were filing numerous motions to dismiss, which were all denied. It went to trial, and the judge actually ruled in favor of the plaintiffs. So this surprised a lot of people.
So these are kids, ages 5 to 22. And what's their evidence? I mean, besides the fact they're saying we have a right to clean air.
It's a great question. Actually, there were, I think, 30 witnesses. 27 of them were brought on by the plaintiffs. And so a number of those were experts on the environment, medical doctors, and others who were saying that the climate change, the greenhouse gas, burning of fossil fuels actually has a greater impact on children for a number of different reasons, medical reasons. The judge's opinion was 106 pages long, so they went into great detail.
Wow.
But essentially they were saying this has a greater impact on children, and the Montana Constitution actually gives kids a right, the same rights that essentially adults have.
So I'm going to try to put a little frame on this. Al Capone theoretically killed a lot of people, but went to jail for tax evasion. You have people who were beaten to death who end up going to jail for violating someone's civil rights,
right,
as opposed for actually. In this case, this is not about saying what is happening is illegal. They're saying it's unconstitutional. I think is a very different way of looking at it.
Yeah, it's a great point. And the case was actually very complex legally, which is why I think that justified the 106-page opinion. And essentially they were saying, the judge said, look, Montana's scheme, and there were a number of defendants, the environmental department, the governor, and all these other agencies in their official capacity, and they were saying that the way in which they were both monitoring greenhouse gas effects and their policies were unconstitutional. And the state was saying, look, we can't monitor. This is sort of unfair to just pick on us when everybody shares the environment. But the judge had good rebuttals, or the experts, which the judge incorporated, essentially saying, no, we can attribute how much greenhouse fossil fuels are burned here, how much are transported through, and the actual impact. And I think they said in 2019, the total amount of fossil fuels that were transported and processed led to 80 million tons of carbon dioxide in Montana.
We know there are going to be appeals, but we also know there's going to be a ripple effect throughout the rest of the nation, probably, and maybe other countries as well.
I think so, because these cases have been brought throughout the world and really haven't gone anywhere. So this won't necessarily create what's called binding precedent, where judges and other courts have to follow it, but it creates what's called persuasive precedent. So that means other cases can point to this case and say, look, this judge in Montana ruled X, Y, Z, and so should you.
Very historic, nonetheless. So thank you, Whitney. Sure. Thank you. Glad to have you twice in a week.
I know.
It was great. It was good.
It's good to be here. Good to be back.